Het Automotive Dealerholding Seminar werd mede mogelijk gemaakt door BDO, Explora en Car Garantie.
Since we're running a little behind schedule, we're going to customize the presentation. I'll make sure that everyone gets a copy of today's slide deck. So if there's some examples that you want to take back to your dealership group, you will have all the information on today's slides. I want to talk to you about some opportunities that I see here in your country. And as Paul has introduced me to dealer groups here in Holland, it couldn't excite me more to be here for you. You're in a very competitive environment. You have some government regulations and taxes that, of course, make it very difficult in my eyes to sell cars in this country. And so today's investment, since your time is valuable, probably a few $1,000s an hour if you had to bill yourself out. My goal is to return that hundredfold. So how do we sell another 1,000 cars at your group or 2,000 cars next year? If you would like that. Anybody interested? Okay, great. So the magic lamp. If you had a magic lamp, what would you ask for?
New business.
New business. If you had a magic lamp, what would you ask for?
More cars,
More sales, right? So both of you, I can say that your wishes are going to be granted today. Because in some ways, we do have a magic lamp. I'm the magic lamp. Because there's things that I see that are successful in the U.S. that can be applied here that can significantly increase your sales without spending more money. Isn't that an interesting proposition? Because a consultant can come to your dealership and say, spend more money, you could sell more cars. But the margins here in Holland are very tight. And competition is very tight as well. So how do we do it? So first I want to describe this chart. This is today's system in which cars are being sold in the U.S. and in many respects apply to anywhere in the world. Stimulus, traditional media, radio, TV, print, direct mail, OEM, advertisements on radio or television do not drive consumers to your dealership directly. But it drives them to the internet, where Google calls the zero moment of truth. In the zero moment of truth in the U.S., the average consumer visits 18 different websites before contacting the dealer. Think about that, 18. So they're visiting AutoTrader, Cars.com, Kelley Blue Book, the OEM websites, 2 or 3 dealer websites, review websites, consumer reports websites. So when they do come to the dealership, would you agree that they may be more educated than some of your salespeople? I see the head shaking. It's the same reaction for dealer owners in the U.S. When they come out of this zero moment of truth and approach you in the first moment of truth, they're not just contacting you. If you're a Volkswagen dealership, within a half hour, is there 7 other Volkswagen dealerships? Are those consumers visiting their websites, making phone calls? Yes, they are. And so how you treat customers in the first moment of truth, after they've done their research, will be critical for you today to think about. Because there's some things that are happening in this country that surprise me, in that in the first moment of truth, we are not delivering a first-class experience, a world-class experience, and we should. And it's in this first moment of truth where I think you have the most opportunity. When someone comes to the dealership, we cannot win every sale. But we can't lose the sale because we lied or we treated the customer with disrespect. Because in the U.S., that just creates negative reviews online. So when the next person comes into the internet, they see, stay away from this dealership. Do not service your car at this dealership. They gave me a price and didn't honor the price. Reviews are not as strong today as part of your business model, but I'm giving you the magic lamp. Dealers who start focusing on online reviews, set a process, in sales and service to encourage online reviews, good ones, not the bad ones, we'll have a strategic advantage in the years ahead. If we do win the sale, in the second moment of truth is our service. Once the consumer experiences the car, our service drive, our service personnel, how often we contact and remind them will really impact more than anything else the next person who comes in the zero moment. Because we see our service customers more often. In the US, every 3 years, approximately, someone gets a car. But you could see a customer 2 or 3 times in the course of a year. So the service, anyone here who's in the service facility or responsible for service, in the service drive, reviews will be really important because you see more people. So let's talk about what consumers are doing in the zero moment of truth. In the US, the number one thing they're doing is looking at inventory. When I say that, they're going to Autotrader.com, AutoScout, New Autocopen. They're going to and they're looking at inventory. Meaning they're doing a search, they're looking at new and used cars down to the specific model. Not the stock photo of a BMW 3 Series, but the actual car that they could buy. So if the number one thing that consumers are doing is looking at inventory, why are our vehicle detail pages in Holland so bad? How come many of you in this room do not have a vehicle detail page for every new car that's sitting in your facility? You do it for used cars, but for some reason you've decided that consumers really don't want to shop for a new car the same way as they shop for everything else on Amazon.com for a camera. No one buys something on Amazon.com without going to a product detail page. If we want to sell more cars in Holland, you have to get serious about your virtual showroom. You're showing half of your products and wondering why today's internet consumer isn't buying a car from you. So, if that's the number one thing they're doing, you're going to see a theme. It's going to be a third of you, I think, will do something. A third of you will wait and watch. And a third of you will do nothing. But the third who turn their business into an inventory-centric organization, you will be a leader in your market. So, when people come to your website, there's only 3 ways. Direct, maybe through a direct mail piece, www, your dealership name, .nl. Or referral. How many of you are using Google AdWords to advertise your cars? So? Okay, great. How do you know if it's working? Oh, gee, was that a tough question? You are spending money on Google AdWords. How do we know if it's working? And what does the report tell you? Okay.
It's a website I use.
Okay. And eventually you get a lead, right? How do you know if that lead sold a car? Oh, gee, something's broken here. Something's broken. So we're spending money because someone told us we should be spending on Google AdWords. That's what you need to do. You're a digital dealer now. How much is your cost per sale? I was visiting some auto groups on my trip here, and I asked the question. They said, well, you know our cost per lead, how much it costs to get someone to submit information on a form. What's your cost per sale? We don't know. And then organic, somebody typing in some keywords. Only 3 ways. The referral traffic is the easiest way to track a return on investment. For some reason, in this country, the calculation of digital investment isn't happening. You are spending money, but you have no idea if it's really working. Someone says, we do emails. We send a lot of emails from our DMS. Do you know what your open rate is? Do you know how many people looked at cars on your website? No. Then why are you sending out emails? Because that's what we're supposed to do. I said, do you do direct mail? Yes, we love direct mail. I said, do you have a different phone number on the mail piece than it's on your website? So you know how many phone calls? No. Then why are you spending money on direct mail? I can't measure. If you are a CEO, a CFO, or a COO, you know that every other part of your business you measure return on investment. So why not for our digital opportunities? So in the US, we track website lead forms, third-party leads like New Autokopen or AutoTrader, phone calls, we do tracking numbers, chat, showroom visits. And what we try to do is attribute a dollar invested into a sale. Not a dollar invested to a lead or a dollar invested to a phone call, but really to track the investment to a car sale. So if you're buying leads or advertising your cars but have no process to take that phone call or lead and work it through to a sale, you are investing blindly. And it seems, from the few dealers I've talked to so far, is that you're using your CRM system, your customer relationship system, to process a sale, to get the paperwork out. But the phone calls and leads are on pieces of paper and notebooks or Word documents or in email folders, and there's no way for you to track lead to sale or to inspect. And this is a huge opportunity for you. I'll explain why. In the US, only 30% of car sales identify themselves via email, chat, or call. The other 70% are influenced by your websites, by the OEM, by your advertising, but they just walk in. So this is really important. When we're talking about understanding if our marketing is working, how do we sell more cars? Just remember that only 30%, and maybe the numbers are similar here, but not everyone likes to identify themselves in advance. So, what did we find out? For those of you who are doing AdWords and are only tracking leads, you are not seeing the whole picture. In the US, we put dynamic tracking numbers, and I'll explain that in a minute. But the technology, at least from one company I know, is coming to Holland in January. Meaning, if you are spending money to drive clicks to your website, in the US, more people are calling today than submitting a lead form. This is important. It's because of mobile. Basically, more people are on their mobile device shopping. So if you are not doing phone tracking, you are missing a significant piece, at least half. Someone said, I think I was talking to Paul, for every lead we get a phone call, and that still may not be accurate because of tracking. So dynamic phone tracking has to be important. So how do we track leads? We start off by, most of your websites have a VDP, a vehicle detail page. Someone fills out a form, and you get your AdWords report. This click generated a lead. If you buy new Hyundai Amsterdam, your cost per lead is 10 euros. That means nothing to me, because does it take 20 leads, 100 leads to sell a car, okay? Or is there a better source? Dynamic phone tracking is different. When someone comes to the website, normally there's a phone number. But if they come in with AdWords, a new phone number would show only for that session. If they call that number, it's attributed to the ad. So just as we're tracking leads, we should be tracking phone calls. And this technology, I know from at least one company, is coming to Holland in January. So the challenge here is that if you're not tracking leads and phone calls to a sale, you are operating the wrong business, because you are an internet business. You think you're car dealers. Car dealers is just the product that someone seems to be interested at that time. At the end of the day, you're an internet business. 90%, maybe 95% of the people who are wanting to buy a car do their research online first, and you have to differentiate yourself. So if they're calling you, or you're spending money to generate leads, why aren't we taking those internet opportunities, those phone calls, more seriously? That comes down to process. If we're not using a CRM system for opportunities, if we're letting each salesperson do whatever they want, how do we know if they have too many leads or too many opportunities? How do we measure consistency? Our first speaker talked about customer experience. Today's shopper, they're expecting more. They're more sophisticated. So why are we treating thousands of opportunities a month so casually? But I will tell you this, the dealers today who take my message seriously, if you are not the current leader in your market, you will be. And if you are the current leader in your market and ignore what I'm sharing today, watch out, someone's coming from behind. It happens that quickly in the United States. Dealers who focus from old school car selling to understanding today's shopper truly dominate their market. This is what you should be looking at each month. Where are my potential opportunities coming from? How many calls came in? How many lead submissions from my website? How many did my salespeople talk to? How many people came in for an appointment? How many of them, or scheduled appointment? How many of them showed up, actually came? How many we sold, percent sold? When I asked a number of dealers here in Holland, do they have anything like this? And they said, no way. Ladies and gentlemen, this is car selling 101 in the United States. Absolutely, we're spending more money in marketing. The average dealer is spending anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 a month in advertising for a single store. Okay? I know the budgets are not that high here. I understand that. But there are tremendous opportunities for you. You just have to figure out which ones are producing sales. And I'm going to show you something today, some big data research that will help you understand from your competitors how to track your entire market, not the 30% that identify themselves. And this is really important to understand these coming concepts. I'm going to go back. How many people are in charge of marketing? Let's say in the dealership, all executives here? One hand, the one lonely man in the corner. Okay, great. So the marketing professional has a budget. You have 10,000 euros this month, sell me more cars. That budget has to represent all of the car shoppers, not just the ones that submit a lead. So today in the US, more people are untrackable until they come in than are trackable. But the marketing manager is called into your office if you were the owner of a dealership and say, we need to sell more cars. Do more with that 10,000. So the marketing manager needs a better view to the 100%, not to the 30. So we call these stealth shoppers. They're educated, they're more in control, they've shopped 2 or 3 dealers, they've compared prices, and then they show up. And they don't always tell you how much they know. True? And sometimes they do that to see if the dealership is an honest dealership, right? They ask the question. Here's some big data research. Over 9 million vehicle detail page views. There's a direct correlation between how fast a car sells and how many times a person looked at the vehicle detail page, the product page. Okay? Not a generic showcase page, the actual unique vehicle detail page. Look at the numbers. From 20, if they have less than 20 VDP views, it takes 135 days. If they have over 30, 76 days. That differential, 11 visits, 11 more people, the car sold 44% faster. We have owners and decision makers in this room. If you could accelerate how fast your car sold, wouldn't that interest you? So the question is, how many of you are looking at your inventory and seeing how many VDP views each car has? Think about that. If there's direct research that the number one activity that consumers do is look at VDPs, and the more VDPs each car has, it will sell faster for sure. I have dealers in the US on a Friday will go to their sales team and say, this weekend these 5 cars will sell. And they look at them like, wow, are you like Houdini or magician? Like, no. He knows that maybe 35 VDPs in my market, that car is going to sell. Because he's looked at hundreds and hundreds of cars and he said, these cars are going to sell. On the contrary, if they have a car that's been sitting on the lot for 30 days and it has 5 VDPs, something's wrong. He doesn't have to wait till he has to wholesale it. Maybe the photos are horrible. Maybe it's priced wrong. Maybe the description. But we have to be more proactive. Auto Trader in the US did the same study a different way, but they found out that it takes more VDP views for a BMW to sell, less for a Honda, directly correlated that dealers can bank if their marketing dollars are working, listen to me, if you start looking on your own website and how many times each car is being viewed. Oh, by the way, that means you have to start creating VDPs for your new cars. By the way, that means you should take pictures. I know it's a strange concept, but if you'd like to sell that new car, you should have it online and it should have its own page, because each BMW model may have slight differences. Consumers care about those things. Oh, this has the cold weather package, this doesn't. This is a manual, this is an automatic. So you need to be VDP factories. If you took one thing home today, I want you to tattoo this on your arm or just write it in pen. Because every one of your sales managers, general managers, marketing managers has to say, think of Amazon. Nikon's not selling cameras on Amazon unless they have a vehicle detail page, a product page. You want to sell your cars, here's what consumers do. They look at those pages. Those are important. And so I want you to think about, do you believe me that we should have VDPs for new and used cars? You have to make that mental decision. If you tell me it's no work, you're in the wrong business. Honestly, you should just get out of the business, because that's what consumers want. Someone could say, oh, I have these widgets, I want to sell them. Put half on Amazon. Okay, great. And then he complains why the other half isn't moving. We have intense competition in this country, so let's act like entrepreneurs. Secondly, what's a good VDP? It has 20 plus photos, a video, clear pricing, not generic pricing. The pricing for that BMW with that options, meaning the real price, not starting at. That's a mistake. And a good description. A good description of the vehicle, meaning sell the car. Talk about it. This is a limited version of the Volkswagen. There's only 5 of these in the entire country. Really popular with people at X. And then we need to start looking at our vehicle detail page traffic. So I'm going to define 2 new terms for you. Not that you need more acronyms like SEO and SEM and PPC and okay, but 2 more important ones. And I'm going to define a shopper as someone who goes to your website and looks at least 1 VDP. Someone who goes to your website and leaves could be getting your phone number. So I don't care how many people come to your website. That means nothing to me. I want to know how many shoppers are coming to your website. So cost per shopper, cost per VDP view. Everyone in this room, if you want to dominate your market, your marketing dollars, everything that you do should be to increase VDP views on your website. You agree with me? If you believe the research, your trend in Google Analytics should be going up. Because if it's going up, you're turning your cars faster, you're selling more. So when I look at things in the US at cost per VDP view, I see all sorts of crazy numbers, $75 to $2. This dealer was not looking at AdWords if it was generating the right traffic. This dealer says, oh, look, I have 11,000 visitors. I don't care. Only half of them were shoppers. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to align our business to the behavior, listen to me, that sells cars. Don't worry about Facebook likes. You're in the business of selling cars. Don't worry about website traffic. You're in the business of selling cars. We don't want to have promotions that brings everyone out just to waste your time in a dealership. You want promotions that bring shoppers. So when those shoppers come to you, ladies and gentlemen, the next and most important thing is if you're focused on generating the most opportunities, how do you handle them? And in the US, it's down to 1.3 dealerships a car buyer visits, meaning they got so much information online, if you don't get them when they contact you, you're toast. You're done. It's coming to this country. People will be visiting less dealerships. So in the first moment of truth, how you answer that phone call, how you answer that email, how you answer that chat is going to determine where they go first. And if your sales process is excellent, that will be the one dealership, period. So, in dealerships in the US, with process, clear processes, typically I see a 200 to 300% increase, listen to me, in the same number of calls and the same number of leads with the same number of people. Remember I said sell more cars without spending more money? What Holland is missing is an internet lead process and a phone process. Those internet leads and phone calls have to be part of a CRM process. You are using your CRM as a form generator instead of a sales goldmine tool. This was a quick little study. You'll get a copy of the deck. Significant improvements when somebody distributed calls to a sales floor versus centralized them in a call center. Significant changes. So, I'm not keeping anything from you. Your hosts here are giving everyone in your goodie bag this book. This has the sales process. This has the phone scripts. This has the tips and techniques that are taking dealers who are converting 5, 8% to 20+% every single month. It's all there. What it does need is leadership. You have to be willing to go back to your dealership and say, we need to be VDP factories. That's going to get us the most opportunities. And when those phone calls and leads come in, we need to handle them like a showroom visit. They are not second-class citizens, but we're treating them as if I came into your showroom, I'd like to buy a car. Listen, we're really busy right now. Can you sit over here for 2 days? Just sit over here for 2 days. I'll give you some water, but I can't respond to you for 2 days. That email, no, you weren't serious. That's what's happening. So, the question here is, you'll have the tools. Paul and I are obviously working with dealers who care to implement good process. You don't need anything more than leadership and a will to change. But we have to become CRM-centric. We really have to. That's our thing. You need to stand out. There's Fiats and Hyundai and Ford and BMW. Is your dealership going to stand out and really provide the internet shopper today a world-class experience? Are we going to spend money and hope with our gut that it's selling more cars, or are we going to start tracking the data that we can to sell more cars? So, in closing, what is one thing that people are doing that they don't expect when they submit an initial lead? We send them a pre-recorded video. It surprises them. Hi, this is Brian from ABC Ford. Thank you for submitting a lead on our website. Let me tell you how it works. I'm going to be calling you today. And if I don't reach you today, I'm going to call you tomorrow. But if you would like to call me anytime, here's my phone number. I look forward to helping you with your Ford purchase. Or even crazy people with hats. Sending a little email with a link to a video that says, hey, I'm Brian. Looking forward to our appointment today in the dealership. If you're running late for any reason, no problem. Just call me. I'll adjust my schedule to give you all the time you need. Do you have people who don't show up for appointments? Yeah, of course you do. Stand out. So, we recommend every sales professional records 5 videos just once, and they use them in their communication process, and it generates the wow response. Boy, this dealer really went the extra mile. I think the first speaker had a little quote that there's no traffic or obstacles on the extra mile. This is the extra mile. So, thank you for your time. In the slide deck, there's a lot of other information about Facebook and data tracking that we couldn't get to today, but you'll get a copy. But if you had any questions about your particular dealership or anything I said, feel free to ask.
Het Automotive Dealerholding Seminar werd mede mogelijk gemaakt door BDO, Explora en Car Garantie.